Hello, my name is Jason Burke. I am the Knit and Crochet Tiger, and today I want to show you how to knit the horizontal chain motif. Okay, this is the horizontal chain. As you can see, there is a row of stitches that go horizontally across the project. You can see the active stitches on the needle here that you normally work through, and yet this is going straight across. I will show you how to accomplish this. To do so, you will require a crochet hook, preferably the same size as the needle that you're using. One size or two smaller might be alright as well. Okay, to do this, it requires working with both the needle and the hook at the same time. Okay, let me move my needles back into position. All the working or active stitches are on the left needle, and I'm going to grab the crochet hook, put it there for right now. The first three stitches I always knit as garter stitch for a swatch because it's selvage edge. Okay, now there's three right there. Okay, the next stitch, we're out of frame. Okay, back in frame. Let me adjust this, get it a little bit closer. Okay, there, that should do. Now, to work the horizontal chain, we first knit into the first stitch. We then take the crochet hook, slip that stitch onto the crochet hook. See, I just took the crochet hook and put it into the stitch purlwise. Alright, I slip that stitch off of the needle. I then take the working needle, the right needle, knit through the back loop of the stitch that is still on the left needle. Pull it off. Then the next stitch, we knit through the next stitch on the left needle, leave that stitch on. We then take the hook, slip that stitch onto the hook, and then we use the hook to pull it through the previous stitch. See that, how it went through, just like crocheting. We then knit through the back loop of the stitch still on the left needle, and then we repeat. We knit one through the left needle, put that one stitch on the hook, pull it off the needle, off the right needle, pull that stitch through the previous stitch on the crochet hook. Then we knit through the stitch on the still on the left needle. Next one, we knit through the next stitch on the left needle, leaving that stitch still on the left needle. That's the key. Leave the stitch on the left needle. Slip that stitch onto the hook and off the right needle. Pull through the previous stitch. Then you can knit another stitch through the back loop of the stitch still on the left needle, and now take it off. Continue to work this way all the way down to the end of the row. It's a little time consuming, but isn't all great knitting projects worth the time? After all, you're creating a beautiful piece of art that you can appreciate for the rest of your life, or your family after you can pass it down as heirlooms. Beautiful handwork. It's worth the effort. And it may be a little time consuming and a little fidgety, but it is well worth it, and it's an easy stitch to do to make this horizontal stitch. Pick that stitch back up because I need to knit through the back loop. And we knit one more time. Didn't mean to remove that stitch. Gotta leave it on the left needle. Put that working yarn behind. Take the stitch and pull it through. We can now knit through the back loop. And this is the last stitch for the horizontal chain. We knit through the back loop here. And take that stitch off the left needle. Now, to finish, this is a single one horizontal chain. To finish it off, what we do is we put this last stitch that's on the crochet hook back up onto the left needle, and from there we can do a knit two together, K2TOG. If it's a little tight, you can always loosen it up by sticking that needle in, the right needle, stick them in through both stitches purlwise and pull just a little bit to loosen it up, so that you can now slip that right needle back in as if you're knitting through both stitches, pull up a loop and off. As you can see, the horizontal chain now disappears into the selvage stitch on the garter. You see that? It'll turn out beautiful. It's a beautiful accent to use on many different projects. Now, this was the single stitch. Now, what if you wanted to have a triple horizontal chain? How do you finish off a triple? Well, let me get the other project that I have already. I have a swatch here. And this is what the ending would look like. As you can see, I have this was my cast on edge right here. This is the first horizontal chain right here. Then the second, that's the middle chain. Out of frame. I'm still getting used to this. Okay, this is the first chain right here. This is the second chain. And this is the third chain. As you can see, I have the first chain and the third chain slanted into the middle chain, and the middle chain, the stitch on the middle chain, is what's on top here. Now, how did I accomplish that? Well, as I worked the three chains, like here, same thing, first chain, second chain, third chain. At the end of each chain, when I came to the selvage stitch, I used a tapestry needle. See, a tapestry needle on a piece of waste yarn. Good tip. If you cut your tails at the end of your projects and your tail still measures more than 9 inches, keep that. Put it in a Ziploc baggie and hold it for all your life, so that you always have a piece of waste yarn on hand. I learned that tip very easily because not everybody can afford to clip a new piece of waste yarn from their project yarn ball when yarn can become so expensive. So here, I used the tapestry needle and I just wove, and I just put the 3 stitches on tapestry needle. Alright, from here, required to finish this off, you need 2 DPN needles, preferably the same size as your working needle. See, I have a circular needle, this is DPN needles. Take one of your DPN needles, and you can now put your stitches, let me adjust this, put your stitches from the waste yarn onto the DPN. Okay, pull that out. That's the first horizontal chain, last stitch up on a DPN. Then the middle one. Then we can pull that off of the waste yarn. And then the third one. Now this was the end that I pulled out of the second. So you want to make sure that you go in the same way and pull out. Make sure that all 3 stitches are mounted on the same direction. Now, you want to turn it like this. This is the left, the right pointing to the right, and this is pointing to the left. You want to work from this side to this side. Do not throw this away. Put it in your Ziploc baggie and keep it for when you need waste yarn again. Right. Then you take your second DPN and you come over here. Okay. We're gonna back the right needle back up onto the stitches that have already been worked so that we can get it out of our way, and then we're going to pull the left needle back into position. Okay, as you can see, here's the DPN. These are the 3 stitches from the ends of the horizontal chain. Now this one, we're going to slip off the left needle. Oh. And of course, I can't hold on to the DPNs. Now we pull this up so that the other 2 stitches that are still on the left needle don't fall off. Because what we're going to do is carefully do this. We're going to use the point of our needle to pull that stitch out. Use the point of our needle to pull the second one out. Okay? We're going to lift this stitch up onto the DPN. See? That is the correct direction of the mount. Remember that. Same direction as the other 3, because now what we're going to do is slip that over to the end of this one, and then move our left needle back to the end, because we are ready to start. We now have 4 stitches up on the DPN. We take our right DPN and insert it into these 2 stitches as if we're going to knit, and we just simply slip off like this. See, and it turns the mount direction. We then do the same thing with the next stitch. Slip it as if to knit to change that direction. Then we take the tip of our left needle, just like when you're doing a bind off. You slip that needle under both these first 2 stitches on the right side and pull it over the one stitch on the left side of that DPN, just like when you're doing a bind off, because that's basically what it is. It's like a bind off. Now, what we do is we slip this stitch back over to here, and what we're going to do is the same thing that we did with the single. We find the very bottom. Okay, this is the working yarn, so get that out of our way. We're left with the two ladders. We want to find the one that's on the bottom. That's our first rung, our first piece of the ladder that we need to use. We're going to put that in the back of the left needle, and we're going to knit two together using that one strand. Pull it through. Might be a little fiddly, like it just popped off for me, so don't worry, keep trying, you'll get it. Just gotta go slowly. And there you go. Remove the DPN. Don't need the DPN anymore at this point. We now slide this stitch back over to the left side, the left needle. We pick up the second rung, like so, and we're going to, well, since I used garter stitch, in this case it would be purl, because we did the knit here, and then the next line needs to be a purl for a garter stitch. And there you have it. The three have become one, and that one has now disappeared behind the garter stitch. And then I just finish off the garter stitch. There you go. The top horizontal line, the bottom horizontal line slant over and become hidden behind the middle one. Nice embellishment for our project. Well, if you like this, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and I will have more videos in the future. So happy knitting, everyone.